Stop. Before you watch one more Jawline video, I need you to know something. 90% of what's out there is either wrong or it's leaving out the one thing that actually matters. I know because I fell for it too. Jaw exercisers, Mewing Forums, chewing gum until my jaw clicked. 3 months, zero change. So I stopped following advice and I started asking a different question. Not, how do I get a jawline? But why does one guy get one from doing almost nothing, while another guy does everything right and still looks soft? The answer is going to make you angry, because it means you've been optimizing the wrong 20% this whole time. Everything you've been told is backwards. Let's start with the thing everyone tells you first. Chew gum, train your masseter, get a jaw workout. Here's what they don't tell you. Your masseter is already one of the strongest muscles in your body. You use it every single day. It doesn't need training like your biceps do. So why do jaw exercisers even exist? Because a sore jaw feels like progress. Discomfort gets mistaken for effectiveness. Some guys do get results, but not because their jaw muscles suddenly grew. It's because they finally started paying attention to their face. Because the biggest jawline mistake isn't chewing. It's what happens after you go to sleep. Last year, I watched 2 guys try to fix the exact same problem. Same age, same gym routine, same diet. One of them has a jaw like it was carved. The other looks like his face is still deciding what shape it wants to be. The difference isn't the gym. It's not even mostly genetics, though genetics load the gun. It's fluid. Your face holds water the same way the rest of your body does, except your face can't hide it under a shirt. For a lot of guys, one of the biggest drivers of facial water retention isn't diet. It's chronic sleep debt and stress stacking on top of each other, night after night, without you noticing. Cortisol doesn't just affect how you feel. Over time, it can also contribute to water retention. And it specifically pools around the jaw, cheeks, and eyes, because that tissue is looser and more vascular than most of your body. So a guy who trains hard, but sleeps 5 hours and lives in low-grade stress can be lean everywhere else and still have a face that looks 3 years older and 10 pounds heavier than his actual body. That's the part nobody puts in the thumbnail, because sleep more doesn't sell a jaw trainer. You've probably heard, fix your posture, fix your jaw, chin tucks, head over shoulders. Fine advice, but it's aimed at the wrong target. Here's what almost nobody explains. In many cases, posture isn't the real cause. It's a symptom of something deeper. Ask yourself, why does your head drift forward in the first place? It's not because you forgot how to sit up straight. It's because your nervous system is in a low-level defensive state. And forward head posture is what the human body does automatically when it feels unsafe or overloaded. Watch anyone doom scrolling, anyone anxious, anyone exhausted. The head drops. Every time. So chin tucks can help, sure. But if you're doing chin tucks while your baseline stress stays through the roof, you're fighting the posture and losing to the cause. Fix the nervous system. And the posture often fixes itself without a single exercise. This is the pattern interrupt most creators skip completely, because it doesn't fit in a 10-second clip. Here's the uncomfortable one. Chewing soft food. Every generation, human jaws have gotten slightly smaller and softer looking. And researchers studying skulls across centuries keep landing on the same suspect. Processed food. Soft, mashed, pre-chewed textures your ancestors never touched. Your jawbone, like every bone in your body, remodels based on mechanical load, not workout load, chewing load, real, tough, resistant food. Steak you have to work for, raw vegetables, not smoothies, not oatmeal, not protein shakes 3 times a day. You might be eating perfectly clean, tracking every macro, hitting your protein target, and still training your jaw to disappear, one soft meal at a time. That's the part that stings, because it means the healthy diet a lot of guys are proud of might be quietly working against the exact thing they're chasing. One more, and this one's going to lose me some viewers. Alcohol, not the calories. Forget the calories for a second. Alcohol is one of the most dehydrating, inflammatory things you can put in your body. And inflammation shows up on your face before it shows up anywhere else. Because facial skin is thin, and the tissue underneath is loose. One heavy night doesn't just cost you calories the next day. It costs you definition for 2 to 3 days afterward. Because your body is retaining water to compensate for the dehydration. And that water goes straight to the same soft tissue around your jaw and under your eyes. Guys track their macros perfectly, Monday through Friday, then wonder why their cheat weekend seems to erase 2 weeks of progress on their face specifically, even when the scale barely moves. Now you know why. Let's go back to those two guys. Both were frustrated. Both believed their bone structure was the problem. One of them bought the jaw trainer, 15 minutes a day, religiously, for 2 months. He posted progress photos in a forum every 2 weeks, convinced he could see something changing. Looking back at them side by side, they're almost identical, maybe slightly worse actually, because his jaw joint started clicking from overuse, and stress about the lack of results started showing up in his sleep too. The other one did almost nothing that looked like jawline training at all. No gadgets, no gum. He fixed his sleep first because it was the easiest lever. 5 hours became 7, consistently, even on weekends. He cut the late-night stress spiral of checking his phone in bed, replacing it with nothing more dramatic than lying in the dark. He swapped 2 soft meals a week for something he actually had to chew. Steak instead of ground beef, an apple instead of applesauce. And he cut down to 1 night of drinking a week instead of 3. 6 weeks later, his face looked like a different structure. Not because his bones changed, because the water left. The tension left. And what was underneath the whole time finally had room to show. He didn't train his jawline. He stopped hiding it. Here's the part that's going to sound harsh. A lot of guys don't actually want the fix. They want the topic. They want to talk about jawlines. Watch videos about jawlines. Buy the gadget. Feel like they're working on it. Because actually fixing sleep, actually fixing stress, actually changing how you eat is boring. It's slow. It doesn't feel like doing something. A silicone chew toy feels like doing something. 7 hours of sleep for 6 weeks straight doesn't feel like anything at all. Right up until the day you look in the mirror and it does. So here's where this actually lands. If you came here for a 5-minute jaw workout, I just told you the honest version. It's mostly noise. The real leverage points are sleep, stress, and how hard your food fights back before you swallow it. None of that is exciting. None of that fits on a supplement label. And that's exactly why most guys will close this video. Go buy the $15 jaw trainer anyway, and wonder in 3 months why nothing changed. The jawline you want probably isn't something you have to build. It's something you have to stop hiding.